Hello people of the YouTube verse. What is going on? I'm back. I don't even know why I'm recording the video. I'm just doing it. Taking some time off to just figure some stuff out, relax, not get drawn into things. I still feel like I am. It's a really difficult. Oh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Nature is just finding a way up through the pylon. Make a bet I pull that up and it gets unrooted. I'm not gonna touch it. Anyways, I'm not the botanist type. That's my mom. My mom likes seeing all the flowers in the neighborhood, all these planters and stuff that are out in front of these companies. Like this one over here. See that? Yeah. Like to just take a walk and then show stuff like that. And then also what I've been doing lately is like looking around in the neighborhood for places that I might want to tack on some extra hours. Like if these warehouses and stuff actually have like part-time shifts, I can do like an extra 4 hours a day or something. So updates are, I am moving in like a week, basically 9 days. So there's a lot of stuff that I got to do. I haven't started packing at all, which sounds nuts, but remember, I only have one bedroom to pack. And whatever you would normally think of that's in a bedroom, that's all I have to pack. I'm not packing an entire house to move to another house. I don't have a family to worry about. It's just me and my audio stuff, which I've been trying to sell, but I guess it's a bad time for audio. Either that or I'm just really bad at marketing, which is pretty clear as far as my YouTube numbers are concerned. It's not like I'm on here reaching to a specific audience. I'm reaching out to my friends, and if that friendship capacity memory thing serves me right, 200 subscribers is about as much as I can handle as far as friends. Problem that I'm having is the appeal to more than that. And like I said, my time is coming. I will have a lot more time given where I'm going to live and where I work and how far away and means of travel and all that kind of stuff on the side. Right now, doing like a lot of overthinking, which I know is not a good thing. I've always been a bit of an overthinker. I get triggered on certain things easily because my mind starts activating right away. I get teased and told to like, oh, don't overthink. It's just the same thing like, stop being on your period. Ain't nobody say shit like that because you know it's impossible. But you don't think of mental illness or mental states or mental capacities or anybody on a spectrum. You just don't know who or what's going on with them to just let out a statement like, stop overthinking. It's not so easy. So how about empathy first and then understanding after? But aside from that, yeah, of course I'm doing a lot of thinking because like in my moving, I want to make it smooth. I don't want to have any obvious like Murphy's Law issues just open, you know. I don't want to inconvenience people that I'm going to be moving away from, and I don't want to inconvenience the people that are helping me move. And then on the receiving side, I'm overthinking in a way that it's courteous, consideration. So it's not a bad thing. Overthinking and worrying is a bad thing, but then general anxiety disorders actually exist, and then it's actually chemically related because the thought process isn't biochemical. You don't have like, if your adrenaline starts going or whatever the processes are and the mechanics, you don't have the balance to calm you down. I don't know. I'm not really that good with body science, but I know that it is a chemical imbalance that happens when certain chemicals are produced to cause excitement and you don't have enough to cause calm. So anyways, yeah, I'm being like ultra considerate about the process because I don't want to inconvenience the people that are helping me. I'm already super grateful that they're helping me. So I want to make it as smooth a process as possible. So let's show up, I'll have basic instruction, then we all just go from there and then relax afterwards and go get some food. Because really, that's what life's all about. friendship and food. There's another F there, but I'm not going to talk about. Tomorrow's Friday. How about that for an F word? Gotta try and be nice these days. Appropriation. Cultural appropriation. Let's get myself flagged now. Let me say it louder for the voice recognition software. Hey Google, cultural appropriation. I'll move into a new neighborhood and deck myself out in a Indian sari, and I'm gonna get dreadlocks and incense. Sticking chopsticks in my rice bowl vertical and shit. I can think of all of these things that bother people, and I don't mean to bother people, honestly. Sometimes it's just like the push a limit. I was talking with buddy Tristan, Mr. Jones. What up, fool? I appreciate you, like truly. You're like the comfort zone inside of a comfort zone, whatever that means. I think you'll figure it out. But it's like that I have two voices on both sides of my head. Like, you know, you usually have like an angel and a devil, and I got two figures that have horns. Neither one of them are religious, but they're certainly pushing me to just stay on the edge, push the edge, you know, like do things that are exciting. And I'm drawn to that. I'm drawn to these things that push limits, that create avenues away from the line, if that makes sense. Anybody watching Loki, the TV show? If you watch that, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the idea of variance, but variance on an idea where I may think really differently from a lot of people, and I'll come up with stuff that makes no sense to anybody else. And sometimes it's just in my head. I find it funny to myself, and I'm pretty ostracized sometimes, actually, because the ideas and thought flow are not shared. And even if I try to explain it to somebody else, the idea or process or themes or tone or whatever it is just flat out rejected, and people don't want to hear it. So it's no wonder I've become basically antisocial, because I find it difficult to get along with people. Sad moment. But that's true. You know, you have like a birds of a feather flock together. And for whatever reason, it's like I've had to put on a character or not a facade. I don't want to say that, because like I've had some friends for a long time that know like I can be difficult. And my difficulty is usually a matter of just creative thinking and being like out there, or just anxiety and not knowing how to deal with stuff. When I've talked about this before, and conflict and conflict resolution or interpersonal relationships, or bullying really put me off, and then being lied to and betrayed and all that stuff in relationships and a whole bunch of stuff. Just people just have so many different faces, and you don't see them all the time, but sometimes they just pop out. So it made me very weary of everyone. So the reason I tell jokes and I try to joke around and these things just kind of pop out is because I just want to have fun. I don't want to push any serious lines. It makes me super uncomfortable. Even now, something going on with like the audio industry. We are all individuals with our own personal tastes and choices and expressions, which are all unique. Even if we happen to agree on a lot of the same things, like Tool fans all grouped together because they are fans of Tool's sound, they're all going to enjoy different songs, slightly different. And you know, it's not worth much of a debate to divide people based on things like that. We all have a subjectivity, and it isn't a discussion. It's worth sharing, but it's not a debate. Those things just are what they are. End of story. Celebrate them, or like your mama used to say, if you don't got something nice to say, don't say it at all. I wish that more people would get behind that. And then the other thing that's going on with the audio stuff, which I'm slowly going to end up bleeding into this channel because that's just what I do, is the idea of talking about the content instead of people. I don't want to bring people into it, but the reason why it's being discussed is Obviously, people are out there trying to make a living. They all have reputations. There are certain practices that are in place to improve their platform, their message, their ability to do work, to, that kind of thing, to step away from subjectivity, to offer a value to people. And that comes into question as a method. And I keep going back to, I talk about it here because, Wendy's, I talk about it on this channel because I'm not talking about audio specifically. I am interested in the mind and psychology and philosophy and people and interactions, and try to share what I think or have been through based on some of these ideas, how to handle what's going on in the world. And I'm bringing it up because, one, the kinds of debates that are going on, like me coming on here to talk about my hesitation about getting vaccinated and the information I'm not sure about. I think it's almost one-to-one. It's not the same result, obviously, because when you're choosing a product to buy at the store, if you're buying this TV over that TV, and the information you get about the TV happens to be different, or you bring it home and it's not as bright as you thought it was going to be, nobody gets sick, nobody gets hurt, nobody has a chance of dying, and your friends that come over to watch TV are not stabbed in the eye with nits. Or should I say knitting needles? Made that joke in the Hi-Fi podcast recently, that nits it's a measure of brightness on a TV, and a lot of people are looking for the highest nits because a lot of people are forced to watch TV in a bright room or next to a window or blah blah blah. So the brighter it is, the better you can see the image, per se. If you've got bad eyes, it doesn't matter how bright the TV is. Chances are, if you got bad eyes, don't buy 4K. Save yourself $3,000. So anyways, I made this joke. I said nits is actually a measure of how awesome your grandma is. So I finally landed a joke that made people laugh, that was safe, that didn't push limits. Everybody was like, oh, that's wonderful. And part of me died inside. I was like, is this what I have to conform to in order to get people paying attention? Is this the value that I don't have? Is the person that I am naturally and the place that I feel most comfortable with in the world, does nobody give a shit? Does nobody want to hear it? Am I alone in this? Or how niche or small a group am I really trying to target? All based over a difference of opinion, thinking, modes of thinking. So anyways, to go back to the debate, the idea is measurements versus perception. Now measurements, my position is both are valuable, but you got to know where the limits of one and the other end. There's maybe a little bit of an overlap because perceptions have been measured, which is what psychology is and marketing is and targeting and demographics. All that stuff has been done. There are lots of studies out there to hone in and narrow what kind of people or what groups of people like certain things, the association game. So it's not an exact science per se, but it's enough to give you a predicted method to land a certain percent of that group that will like certain things. Okay, so there are measurements there, but they're not 100% shit. Most of science, except for, no, I'm going to say even all of science. I mean, Einstein's theory to one point gets us to do many, many, many things, but not entirely, not 100%. And then there's quantum physics that comes in and explains the other half, but they're not unified yet. So measurements are not 100%. Okay, so there's limitations to what you can measure and what it says. The other factor is, like I was talking about, everybody has a subjective opinion and taste and thoughts, and it's all structured around what you've been through and where you live, and all this other stuff plays into the final decision. So when it comes to say a car, but you could have 5 cars laid out on a lot that all basically have the same gas mileage. Whatever you're invested in or whatever you think is important are the measurements you may judge them on. So in that sense, Not even all measurements get accounted for. Some of them might stand out, and that's choice. If you evaluated them all on all measurements, only one that had the best of all of them might not even be in the right color or unavailable. So if you had 5 cars that had the same gas mileage, same gas tank, same range, same sort of handling, you could drive them and one might feel more comfortable than the other, or you might have a opinion on whichever tires are cheapest, or the one that's got the best support, or whatever's got the best warranty. Like, there's always something in those, but every one of those factors that you're choosing has been measured. So they're one and the same. They're like the left and right hand of the same person. You can't separate the two. You're definitely going to have both to deal with. I don't know. That's where I sit. Like, I recently bought some stuff that I was pretty sure I was going to like, and I do. There's no problem with it. The reason why I'm trying to move away from it has nothing to do with the performance, which is just a matter of I want to experience something else. So like if I switch from a Honda to a Toyota, I'm not necessarily upgrading. I mean, if I went from a Honda to an Acura, or I went from a Toyota to a Lexus, okay, then maybe I'm upgrading. But like, if I could buy and enjoy a Honda that does everything that I like, actually has more options like aftermarket parts, the rims are cheaper, repairs are cheaper. So if I bought an Acura TL that was like a luxury car that cost a certain amount, what would my benefit be at a certain point? If, like, say if my budget was stretched, I wouldn't want the Acura. I'd want the Honda, because I could get the Honda and then I could afford to go on a vacation, which to me sounds a lot better than just having a nice car. So in that sense, I think that's what's going on now, is like when you eat too much and then you sit down afterwards and you're like, oh, I feel fat, fuck. You know, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. That's kind of like what happened. I had a bit of residual momentum, decided based on some of that rather than rational thinking, and bit off more than I could chew. So now I'm trying to wind that back and fix that problem. So anyways, what are we at? 17, almost 18 minutes? Jesus Christ. Man talks a lot. So I'm gonna slow down. There's someone walking right in front of me and I don't like that. What the fuck? This guy's got color changing light rings around his BMW headlights. Anybody know the stereotype about BMW owners? Wow. So anyways, just wanted to say that, you know, in my time away and thinking, and I've been processing and doing a lot of self-reflection and trying to understand some of the variance in moments in my life and what is building up right now, and then facing this opportunity where I'm going to be in a new space. I get chances to do new things. I want to be able to maximize my energy and express myself truly without really missing out on something, not pretending something, not faking something. A lot of the internet is all about attention economy. I've mentioned this a lot. And I see it in artists that are doing really well right now based on their internet success. Like Tom McDonald, this guy I mentioned before, is a new rap artist that's got a lot of success through YouTube only. Damn, there's a lot of trucks out here. So anyways, so he's got a lot of success, but let's say every time a song comes out, it's like an independent song. It gets registered to all the websites and like Apple and Spotify, and you can listen to it. But his social media is covered in basically begging people to watch it. I get it, but it's a strange hustle. I mean, I guess it's a little more honest than companies out there like playing the marketing game, using all the data from our phones and videos and information and just manipulating situations in order to trigger you into buying something. It's a way more obvious thing. Like if he's asking for help, it's straight to his fans or whoever watches. I guess I gotta give him credit for that. But it's strange. I don't know. It's a weird place to be. As honest as it is, it just feels awkward because we've been programmed to like get marketed to with like billboards and shit and trucks riding around with something on the side. Like it's all subliminal. That's strange. I don't know. So like in my efforts to move forward, I don't want to lose my integrity, which I won't, but it depends on what part of it's on display. And I can't please everybody, you know, it's just not going to happen. There isn't like, there's no such thing as like a communist speaker company. It's like everything is Cerwin Vega, that's it. Everybody gets Cerwin Vega, we don't give a shit. Everybody else is going to fold. They're going to buy out everything. That's it, just one brand. You get nothing but no-name ketchup, no-name cereal, no-name milk. All your gas is no name. You have one option to pick from. How fun is that? People, same thing. So this is why I go back to like, because there's differences, it's either celebrated or because we all have those differences. People want to believe certain things. Here's my point, I guess. One is I'm not really calling people out here. This is just like human beings in general, because we're all kind of, I believe we're all basically the same. But you don't want to talk about personal conflict out in public, because it's no one's business. I don't know why it would be considered anybody else's business, unless it's like if a politician was being real shady and they're in control of a bunch of people and they're making legislation, then I can understand you wanting to call out a politician for making certain statements, or if they're being contradictory, like behind your back or online, or you know what I mean? Like in that kind of thing, okay, sure, because they have some measurable difference affecting people's lives. But if you're offering an opinion piece, really, like, I think that even if you're off, even if there's measurements, by the way, don't need someone talking. If you're educating on how to understand it, that's one thing. But if you're doing measurements, you could just show a chart and numbers and you don't have to say anything. So let's get that out of the way. When you look up information about your car, the manual doesn't talk to you. The sales guy talks to you, but he's trying to talk you into buying it. He's not explaining how acceleration works. He's not describing how the engine, I mean, like, unless you run like an RX-7 Mazda rotary engine, they're not engineers. If you're doing engineering, a lot of it's just numbers, but explaining how to understand the numbers, so translating the numbers in the Fibonacci sequence in a room, and how it looks like in the room, or how to set things up, like that kind of thing. Or if you're describing how to draw a triangle or an equilateral triangle, then I can understand. Because you're describing the tech, you're describing the math, you're describing the direct measurable differences. Then that's cool. If you're being like a conduit or a translator, then that's really cool. Then you're not expressing yourself, you're expressing the data solely. You're not adding your own thing to it. But I mean, I guess they call this YouTube for a reason. I just wanna say that, because when it gets messed up, when you're talking about both together, I guess it can be very confusing, where one sounds like opinion, the other one could be a measurement, but maybe some people are just not on top of, or sharp, or educated, or knowledgeable. I mean, everybody's looking for some kind of knowledge turning to YouTube. It's basically an instruction manual. I know there are videos about people like repairing a wall dent or a drywall, or, you know, like those how-to videos are huge. So maybe that's important. Maybe that's the important thing to do, is do the how to understand, how to translate this data. What does this data mean for this? If you have You know, what's camber on front wheel drive cars? Describe that. And then when you look around, you see cars that have their wheels tilted at like fucking 45 degrees, you'll understand why these kids are doing it. Because I don't understand it. Anyways, that's 25 minutes of my life and your life. I really respect you guys for coming by to watch. I'm gonna get out of here before I get hit by a car and go grab some pizza. See you guys, thank you.